Welcome back to another episode of Big Bear Boxing Convo, episode number 70. The conversation I want to get into today is JERMELL CHARLO trying to single-handedly bring back what boxing represented in the 80s and 90s. I'm going to try to break it all down in this video, so stay tuned. If you like the video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
About you, Roy, anybody who come into the ring against you got to get dogged out too?
Nah, you don't gotta get dogged out, you just gotta get taught a lesson.
How you going to teach him a lesson? Tell us what's going to happen in the fight.
That's all I can do. I gotta go out there and do what I gotta do to teach that lesson.
He can't. Can nobody teach me a lesson? I'm the teacher, baby.
A number of key elements of these two great fighters, Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns.
We assure you that Mayweather's not gonna take this fight lightly. He's gonna train to the best of his ability. Come if he's gonna bring in there his.
Let me ask you something both candidly. Do you really dislike one another personally, or is this part of a hype?
At the end of the day, it's about who's more hungry.
Be less money. Be quiet. Humble yourself. Be the challenger sometimes.
So let's get right into it. Like I always do my videos now, kind of switch the format of my videos, doing round one and round two. Round one, we're gonna break down. You see the title, see the thumbnail. So especially the title, 80s and 90s boxing, and also the latest interview that JERMELL CHARLO had with Brian CUSTER was a really good interview. I love his energy. Always like him and his brother's energy. A lot of people see it as negativity. I see it as positivity, and when you're in a dangerous sport like that, you got to kind of act like that. Not just to draw attention, but you always got to be on your P's and Q's no matter the situation. But let's go ahead and break this video down. Let's go ahead and jump into round one. So round one, we're going to discuss the 80s and 90s era of boxing. 80s and 90s, if you a little bit younger, you may not remember the 80s and 90s. A lot of the superstars that was in the sport of boxing. I really want to just get into the format and the way everybody, the way you had to achieve greatness back in the day. So back in the day, if you wanted to become a champion, it was no such thing called ducking. You had to go through champion after champion after champion to remain great, or to become great. You had to have marquee fights to be noticed, to be put on pay-per-views. It was no give me. At least I felt like that when I was growing up watching the sport of boxing. Like I always say on a lot of my videos, I've been watching boxing for many years. I'm not new to the sport. I may be sort of new to YouTube, but I'm definitely not new to the sport of boxing. So, especially with Mike Tyson's career, I'd say maybe on the back end of his career, he faced Holyfield, he faced Lennox Lewis. That's some of the bigger marquee fights that he had that I can remember. And Roy Jones with James Toney, Bernard Hopkins, and Antonio Tarver. So those was marquee fights for him. And I can just keep going on and on. Even without getting into Floyd Mayweather, it was Julio Cesar Chavez, Pernell Whitaker. A lot of these guys had to face each other in each class, no matter if it was down from heavyweight. From lightweight all the way up to heavyweight. No matter what class it was always a ton of talent in each class that was available. So today's boxing is set up a lot differently. There's a lot of so-called ducking, promotion, and I'm gonna get more into it in the second round. But I'm not gonna just blame the fighters. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the second round. So the 90s, if you're really a true boxing fan, go back and watch some of the old videos. You can watch on my channel, you can watch on some other channels. I love to do my homework before doing any video. I love doing a lot of research and stuff like that. That's the reason why I don't drop as much as other boxing channels, because I want it to be at current times, but I also want to bring back some of the stuff that I remember as a kid and actually almost give like an educational, come from an educational standpoint. If you're not keen on some of the older fighters, I have a lot of discussion with a lot of guys that comes on my channel, and I bring up some of the older stuff, so it kind of made me want to do a video. But like I said, some of the older guys, they had to face the best to become the best. Even though they had some of the same issues that boxing still face today, that's still some of the boxing downfall today. But somehow, some way, they had to get through it because the talent pool was just almost as talented, if not more talented, as it is now. I think it's very talented now, and you can probably go fighter from fighter. But the format of fighting each other is set up totally different. It was almost unavoidable back in the 80s and 90s. With Sugar Ray Leonard and Hearns, all those guys had to face one another. And a lot of them, if you didn't, you would catch a bunch of backlash, or you would not be on the top programming back in those days. And a lot of back in the days, pay-per-view was big, but it wasn't huge like it is today. So it's a very big difference between fighting on pay-per-view back in the day and fighting on pay-per-view now. Of course, there's a lot more money in the sport of boxing, but a lot of times back in the day, they had to do a lot of, go through, certain champions to get a really big name. And I'm pretty sure, everybody can relate to Floyd Mayweather's career, and everybody want to emulate his career, but it's hard to emulate his career if you're not going through what he had to go through to become one of the best. And like I said, go do your own research on different channels. On YouTube is a big library of learning, so you don't have to just come to my channel and hear it. I love doing it because I can give it to you all in one package. But as far as the old school fights and stuff like that, I may not have it in my videos. So Floyd Mayweather had to fight a ton of fighters. It's not the first time I said this throughout my videos, but he had to fight certain fighters to get to where he is even today, even though he's retired. It was no give me. Sugar Ray Leonard would not have been known. Ray Robinson, all those, even though that's in a different era, but basically 80s and 90s where I grew up, it was totally different. But let's get into round 2 and talk more about JERMELL CHARLO and current boxers. So let's get into round 2. I want to get more into what JERMELL CHARLO, his most recent interview on Last Stands with Brian Custer. That's a great podcast. Go check it out. He said a couple things in there that a lot of people posted, the whole clip or whatever, and it's kind of the same thing on each channel. There's really no difference, but I wanted to take out certain key points that he was, what he was saying. Was he correct on everything? Maybe a lot of people won't agree with it, but I like the energy. I was looking at his energy, and he looked like he meant what he said. And I can respect somebody like him because he has been putting in the work. He does have some big names on his resume. He's got Rosario, he's got Brian Castano, and then he has Tony Harrison 1 and 2. Tony Harrison was a really good champion, and he pushed him to the limits in the first fight, even though I thought JERMELL CHARLO got cheated, obviously, but then JERMELL CHARLO came back and knocked him out. And also with Brian Castano, I think that's going to be a very, very good fight in the second round. But in the second fight, but what I like about it is he's not scared to challenge himself. And if he do come up short, whether it's by cheating or whatever, he's going to jump back in there. And the last one, especially with Brian Castano, it was a draw. So he like, hey, let's do it again. Teofimo, what I didn't like about his situation, he had an opportunity to fight Kambosos again, and he first thing he said, I'm not going to do it because I didn't like what the zone did. Okay, if you got reasonable, if you got proof of that, then I agree with you. But that's what's wrong with today's boxing. Boxing is not the same. Not that I look for it to be better, not the same. So we in the 2022. So I look for boxing to always become better and better and better, not to go back in time. So I don't want nobody mix and screw this whole video. So make sure you watch the whole video so you get what I'm saying. But I really like the energy that JERMELL CHARLO was coming with. Basically telling Terrence Crawford to be humble. But I didn't look at it like he was. I wasn't looking at it like, okay, Terrence Crawford needs to humble himself. But I was looking at it like maybe a lot of fighters need to humble themselves. Maybe a lot of fighters need to challenge themselves. So you can hear both of those clips. Just that snip right there that created the whole video. but I think he's right. A lot of fighters, you need to be the challenger sometimes. You don't have to be the top dog. The way you become the top dog is you chase down the most toughest fights. A lot of people say, certain fighters need to step up, certain fighters need to do that. I think all fighters need to step up to make the sport of boxing become what it once was and to become a better sport for the world. I think that a lot of boxers needs to step up. As you got, I like Errol Spence. I love his energy. He has 2 setbacks. He didn't take a step up fight. He took 2 dangerous. This would be his 2nd dangerous fight in a row since coming back. I like Terrence Crawford energy. He's challenging JERMELL CHARLO in a higher weight class. JERMELL CHARLO in a higher weight class of 154. He fought Sean Porter. It doesn't. It's not Terrence Crawford's fault that Sean Porter didn't come truly prepared. That's not his fault. But I love his energy. There's a couple other younger guys, Devin Haney. I like his energy, even though I think he could do a little bit better and take some dangerous fights to get that recognition and get the fans behind him again. And also Shakur Stevenson, I love what he's doing, and I love his energy. So there's a lot of guys out there, especially, I don't want to leave out David Benavidez either, but you got guys like Canelo that's at the top, but then he's telling everybody else to fight each other. So that's what's wrong with the sport of boxing nowadays. You couldn't do that back in the days. If you was top dog, you was gonna have to fight another top dog. Even if they was the challenger, you had to fight that guy to keep your belts. It was no franchise titles. It was no 30,000 different belts. And now it's like everybody's a champion, internationally or whatever. They break up Pride Championship belts. So the sport of boxing has so much room to grow. I want to see it get better. I want to see a lot of new guys get to come in, like Jerron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz. I want to see a lot of these guys be able to make a name for themselves, and especially people like Virgil Ortiz and Jerron Ennis. They have to take those tough fights. Errol Spence had to take those tough fights to put himself in a position to actually make it. So even though I'm not comparing, I don't want to really compare the two, but it's things that could be done from certain fighters, certain promoters, and it's not. I'm gonna let y'all know it's not all on the fighters either. The promoters, the sanctioning bodies, they have to step up and get better. They have to eliminate some of these nonsense belts, and they have to, just make a better sport. But you guys, let me know what you think about this topic down in the comments below. That's going to conclude another episode of Big Bear Boxing Combo, episode number 70. You guys let me know what you think about this topic down in the comments below. If you want to see what I'm wearing, shoptactic.com. Follow me on all social media platforms that I'm currently on. Links will be down in the descriptions below. If you like this video, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell so you guys won't miss out on upcoming videos on my channel. With all that out of the way, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Big Bear Boxing Combo.